Hello, today's recording is on the Dulce base. This is an interview that happened a while back when a supposed officer spoke out about the secret conspiracy of an alien base that's tied to the U.S. government and various other governments around the world in Dulce, New Mexico. The following is a excerpt and a list of questions that were directed to the former Dulce-based security officer that gave the name Thomas Edwin Castello approximately a year before his death or supposed disappearance. They will be followed by his responses. In this interview, I will be playing the role of Branton, and a guest of the show will be playing the role of the interviewer.
When exactly was the upper human occupied level of the Archuleta installation constructed? By what means were the upper installations constructed?
I heard Dulce was started in 1937 to 1938 by the Army engineers, enlarged over the years. Most recent work was completed in 1965 to 1966 to connect tunnels to the Page base site of one of the older underground facilities. The Four Corners base is called Paracat. Most of the Native Americans living in that area are aware of that base and could tell us about the underground life forms that frequently are spotted near those communities, Bigfoot, etc.
Are you familiar with the alleged developments made by the Rand Corporation of a highly efficient bore or mold machine capable of melting rock using nuclear-powered wolfram graphite-tipped drill cones?
According to several senior maintenance workers, part of it was blasted by nuclear devices in the 60s. There are sections like the shuttle tunnels that were formed by an advanced tunneling machine that leaves the tunnel walls smooth. The finished walls in those tubes resemble polished black glass.
By whom was the Dulce installation originally constructed?
Nature started the caverns. The Draco reptilian humanoids used the caverns and tunnels for centuries. Later, through Rand Corporation plans, it was enlarged repeatedly. The original caverns included ice caves and sulfur springs that the aliens found perfect for their needs. The Dulce caverns rival Carlsbad caverns in size.
What exactly are the cattle and human organs such as blood, anal tissue, eyes, reproductive organs, tongues, etc. used for? That is, the organs obtained via cattle and human mutilations. Are the various electromagnetically controlled air or spacecraft that have been seen, leaving from and arriving at Mount Archuleta, manned by humans, the alien entities, or both?
Archuleta Mesa is a minor area. The craft leave and are stored in 5 areas. One is southeast of Dulce, one near Durango, Colorado, one at Taos, New Mexico, and the main fleet is stored at Los Alamos.
Others have suggested that some of the entities below Dulce are not of extraterrestrial origin, and that they are actually descended from saurian or reptiloid beings such as the velociraptors or Stenanocosaurus equalis, a serpentine race or races similar to that hinted at in the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis.
Yes, some reptoids are native to this planet. The ruling caste of aliens are reptilian. The beige or white beings are called the Draco. Other reptilian beings are green and some are brown. They were an ancient race on Earth, living underground. It may have been one of the draconian beings that tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. Reptoids rightly consider themselves native Terrans. Perhaps they are the ones we call the fallen angels. Maybe not. Either way, we are considered the squatters on Earth.
Some have suggested that so-called underground ET bases and tunnels may, for a large part, be literally thousands of years old. Constructions of an antediluvian race which attained to a considerable level of scientific complexity and who were destroyed by a divinely initiated cataclysm which took place after they attempted to merge their science with occult supernatural forces. For instance, some have suggested that the Bermuda Triangle phenomena may be the result of an out-of-control Atlantean experiment that led to a space-time disaster which produced electromagnetic fallout in the Triangle area and elsewhere after they had accidentally loosed powerful forces and energies into the world that they knew very little about. Do your observations tend to confirm or refute such a possibility?
I'm not sure about the divine part, but these aliens do consider themselves native Terran.
Where do the little gray aliens fit in?
They work for and are controlled by the Draco. There are other gray-skinned beings that are not in league with the Draco.
Did you ever talk to any of the aliens at the base?
Since I was the senior security technician at that base, I had to communicate with them on a daily basis. If there were any problems that involved security or video cameras, I was the one they called. It was the reptilian working caste that usually did the physical labor in the lower levels at Dulce. Decisions involving that caste were usually made by the white Draco. When human workers caused problems for the working caste, the reptoids went to the white Draconian boss and the Draco called me. At times it felt like it was a never-ending problem. Several human workers resented the no nonsense or get back to work attitude the working caste lives by. When needed, intervention became a vital tool. The biggest problem were human workers who foolishly wandered around near the off-limits area of the alien section. I guess it's human nature to be curious and to wonder what is past the barriers. Too often someone found a way to bypass the barriers and nosed around. The cameras near the entrance usually stopped them before they got themselves in serious trouble. A few times I had to formally request the return of a human worker.
Are there other sites tied into the shuttle network other than those which you mentioned? And if so, where are the entrances?
Where? Everywhere. They crisscross the world as an endless subterranean highway, like a freeway, except this one is underground. The subterranean highway in America is like a freeway, except it's underground. The highway depends on electric motors for trucks, cars, and buses for the paved roads and is for limited travel. There's another style of transit for freight and for passengers that is for rapid travel. That worldwide network is called the subglobal system. It has checkpoints at each country entry. There are shuttle tubes that shoot the trains at incredible speeds using a maglev and vacuum method. They travel at a speed that excels in the speed of sound. Part of your question involves the location of entrances to that base. The easiest way to answer is to say every state in the USA has them. Frequently, the entrances are camouflaged as sand quarries or mining operations. Other complex portals are found on military bases. New Mexico and Arizona have the largest amounts of entrances, followed by California, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Kansas, Arkansas, and Missouri. Of all the states, Florida and North Dakota have the least amount of entrances. Wyoming has a road that opens directly into the subterranean freeway. That road is no longer in use but could be reactivated if they decide to do so with minimal cost. It's located near Brooks Lake.
Are there any bases in the state of Utah? Have you heard anything about an alleged underground installation within the Wasatch Mountains?
Salt Lake, Lake Powell area, Dark Canyon, Dugway Grounds, Modena, Vernal, all have exits there. Others too.
Does the Mount Archuleta shuttle system connect with the shuttle system which allegedly radiates from Mount Shasta in Northern California?
Yes, Mount Shasta is a major site of alien, elder race, reptilian race, human meetings. Beginning Cleveland, Grover, every president in U.S. history have visited Telos City, where the native Shastan people have lived for centuries. Truman was supposed to have visited the lower realms as a high archon on Earth. He was supposed to have met the king of the world there and gave him the keys to the USA.
Did you notice any involvement of high-level Freemasons, Rosicrucians, or Jesuits within the underground installation and or with the aliens?
Yes, I did, but that is a loaded question, and I won't comment further. I'm not a Mason or member of any other secret fraternal group. There is one organization I am a member of in the USA. That group is commonly called the Central Unit. It is a pleasure to tell you I am a member of the Subgalactic League of Costa Rica.
Is there any truth to the allegations that the CIA aliens have established bases on the moon and also Mars?
I've heard that too, but I haven't seen proof with my own eyes. The aliens do allegedly have bases on several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The CIA operates in other countries, but I've never heard they operate on other planets.
Have you heard any hints or rumors suggesting that there may be lower levels beneath the Ultra 7 level of the Dulce base, and also where these might lead to and what they might consist of?
Yes, your guess is as good as mine. Sure, there was lots of talk, but that doesn't mean it's there. However, I will tell you I saw elevators that were off limits unless you had an Umbra or higher security clearance. At that base, information is supplied to you at a need-to-know basis only. My clearance was Ultra 7.
Some insist that the U.S. secret government has developed its own disk craft base, largely based upon top-secret anti-gravity experiments carried out by the Nazi German scientists during World War II. Have you heard anything referring to this?
When I was working in photo security, I heard a lot of talk. Never saw the proof, but once in the Air Force I developed a roll of film that showed a craft like Adamski's with a swastika on the side.
Tom, did you have access to the alien craft? Were you ever inside any of them?
Yes, I frequently saw them in the garages. There are quite a few of them. The main fleet is stored at Los Alamos. Yes, I entered several crafts. There were two things that stick in my mind. The odd spongy feeling of the floors and the unusual pinkish purple color of the lighting. The crew stated the floor becomes rigid in flight and the purple tint of the lighting changes to bright blue-white. The entire inside of the aircraft are scaled down in size when compared to the average human. The hulls were curved and narrow, but somehow, when inside it appears bigger than it looks. Certain areas, the outermost sections, almost felt and looked alive. I was never taken up in one.
Can you give me more information on the reptilian race? What do they do on the 6th level, the area called Nightmare Hall?
The worker caste does the daily chores, mopping the latex floors, cleaning the cages, bringing food to the hungry people and other species. It is their job to formulate the proper mixture for the Type 1 and Type 2 beings that the Draco race has created. The worker caste work at the labs as well as the computer banks. Basically speaking, the reptilian races are active at all levels of the Dulce base. There are several different races of aliens that work on the east section of level 6. That section is commonly called the alien section. The Draco are the undisputed masters of the 5, 6, and 7 levels. The humans are second in command of those levels. I had to argue with one large Draconian boss frequently. His name is difficult to verbalize. We'll just call him Karsh, and he hated it. The Draconian leaders are very formal when talking to the human race. These ancient beings consider us a lower race. Karsh called me Leader Castello, but it was used in a sarcastic way. However, the worker caste is friendly enough as long as you allow them to speak first. They will answer if you address them. They are very cautious beings and consider most humans to be hostile. They always seem surprised when they found many of the humans were open and trustworthy. There is no fraternizing with the aliens off hours. It is forbidden to speak to any alien race in the halls or an elevator without a clear business-oriented reason. Humans can talk to humans and aliens can speak to aliens, but that's as far as it goes. At the worksite, however, it's different. There's free speech in the labs. The friendship found in the labs also reaches the computer bank section. In those areas, everybody talks to anybody. However, everything changes the minute you cross the threshold of the hall. Instantly, all conversations become strictly formal. Hard as it was, several times I had to arrest someone simply because they spoke to an alien. It's a strange place.
Exactly what first made you aware that something was wrong at Dulce? Seems to me that a place as obviously horrible as this one wouldn't need an Einstein to know that this is a crime site. What took so long? Are you the guy who blew the whistle?
There are several things you should know about. I took an oath under the penalty of death that no matter what I saw or heard, I would never divulge the information. Also, I signed a waiver that states I would willingly give up my life if I was found guilty of treason. At the Dulce base, treason is anything that mentions the details of daily operations in the facility when outside the confinement of the base. When I first arrived, a need-to-know policy was in effect. The story the honchos told us was that this is a tri-biotransfer facility with advanced technology doing advanced adventurous methodology for medical and mental gains.
The name Nightmare Hall is descriptive, but surely there was a regular name. What was it called in the manuals?
This is just Karsh.
You mentioned one reptilian leader, Karsh. Do you know anything about him, like where he is from? Is he from Earth or some other planet? Did any of the working cast join in the revolt? Could you give me some names? Tell me more about the flash gun. Is it difficult to operate, or is it like the weapon on Star Trek that can stun or kill on different modes? Is the weapon called a flash gun, or is there a different name in the manuals?
In the manuals, it was called the Vivarium. It describes Dulce Base as a secured facility for tending bioforms of all types. In their report, it is retold as a private subterranean bioterminal park with accommodations for animals, fish, fowl, reptile, and mankind. After seeing this park, the name Nightmare Hall is far more accurate than the manual. The accommodations for the inmates at Nightmare Hall fall short of the pretty picture the manual describes.
What type of security is found at the Dulce base? What else is used against espionage or unauthorized entry?
I'll mention a few, but it would be nearly impossible to cover it all. The weapon, besides the flash gun, mostly used as a form of sonic. Built in with each light fixture and most camcorders is a device that could render a man unconscious in seconds with nothing more than a silent tone. At Dulce Base, there also are still NVCR cameras, iPrint, handprint stations, weight monitors, lasers, ELF and EM equipment, heat sensors and motion detectors, and quite a few other methods. There is no way you could get very far into the base. If you made it to the second level, you would be spotted within 15 feet. More than likely, you would become an inmate and never see the light of the surface world again. If you were lucky, you would be reprogrammed and become one of the countless spies for the ruling caste.
According to certain reports, the Dulce base is host to other aliens that live in level 5. Is that true? Can the humans freely roam or meet one-to-one in the halls, or is some type of protocol in effect?
There is protocol from the first time you enter the base, and it must be followed every time you see an alien there. From the working caste to the visiting aliens to the ruling caste, there's never a never-ending checklist of rules, law, and strict protocol. There's never a chance to roam on the 5th level. The alien housing area is off limits to any human. The hub is surrounded by security, arsenal, military, and CIA/FBI sections. The area past the security is one of the most secured areas because it houses so many classified files. The entire east side of the 5th level is off limits except for security personnel holding Ultra 7 security clearance or higher. The garage on the west side of the 5th level requires Ultra 4 clearance.
I understand that certain groups of cleared individuals in the government are collaborating with alien groups. Is it known how many groups and of what type they are working with?
I don't know how many groups or what type they are working with.
A mysterious security man calling himself Agent Yellow Fruit says he worked at Groom Lake, Area 51. The security officer states that he's been in contact with benevolent aliens at the Groom Lake facility. Are you aware of such a group?
Yellow Fruit is one of the slang names for Yellow Jack or Yellow Flag that shows quarantine and caution in the labs. There are so many different slang names at Dulce Labs that meant quarantine that the workers published a booklet to show the meanings. At Dulce, Yellow Fruit are the lab workers, so-called, from the yellow light outside the decontamination chambers. Banana is the older workers, lemon is the new guys, and so on.
Is there an alien installation under Groom Lake or Papoose Lake at the Nevada test site, and are they conducting biological research at these sites?
Most of the stuff at the Groom facility deals with defense, but there's a large storage area in the tunnels that holds thousands of alien craft parts. From what I have heard, the medical tests at the Nevada test site are conducted by and for the Navy.
According to my sources, the aerospace companies have a secret underground installation in the Tehachapi Mountains, not far from Rosamond near Edwards Air Force Base. Insiders refer to the Tehachapi installment as the Ant Hill. They are experimenting with advanced technologies such as anti-gravity discs. Some have been basketball-sized floating orbs patrolling the facility. Do you have any other further information on this?
The California mountains all have alien security methods and equipment. The basketball-sized orbs are used for unmanned patrol. They are silent, but when photographing living beings, there's a humming sound. The glow that emits light is magnetic aura. This light is in the visible spectrum, 3900 angstroms. You can't see the light, but the light does not reflect off any.
Is there anything you can tell me about the moon? Alien installations, atmosphere, U.S. bases?
There's not much I can tell you there. I wasn't in the lunar program. I heard there was a lot of equipment sent to the moon between 59 to 64 under Project Whiteout.
How do the aliens use magnetism? Do they use it as an energy source? Is there more we need to know about magnetism?
The aliens use magnetics for everything. They use magnetics as the basic structure for their energy source. The more you learn about magnetics, the better. The human race calls them magnets. The aliens call them lodestar. They have been harvesting lodestars for centuries. Not only that, they want all the magnetic power on Earth. They intend to continue harvesting that power now and in the future. As long as we were only using magnetic power as an oddity, there was no problem. But in recent times, the human race has begun using magnetic power and finding more ways to utilize that commodity. There was a treaty made in the original treaty. The human race, or those who supposedly represented the human race, if you would call it that, Branton, didn't mind at all. We considered magnets as hardly more than useless. As people search for another source for power, we turn to magnetics. The aliens wanted a new treaty. What could we offer? They chose land, underground mining rights, animals, and humans for new experiments. The general public never knew about the treaty.
What do aliens do with the cow blood and other parts from mutilated animals? Do they need these fluids for research or survival?
The aliens use the blood and body parts for formula to keep them alive, their food, and for use in the growing vats and for the artificial wombs. Plasma and amniotic fluid are the two most vital ingredients for their lives. Also, the sap of some plants can keep them alive for months. Most of the plants are parasitic in nature, but red grapes and okra plants can also be added to the formula to keep them alive. They have no regular formula.
Female abductees report being inseminated by aliens. Are they trying to hybridize our species?
Yes, they are breeding slave warriors for the upcoming war with alien races. The serpentine races are in orbit around Earth, Venus, and Mars.
Abductees have reported that the aliens can pass their bodies and that of the abductee through window glass. Is this a feat of magic achieved by advanced technology, or is it a psychic power?
The aliens have mastered atomic matter. They can go through walls like we go through water. It is not magic, just physics. We can't learn to do the same thing. It has to do with them controlling atoms at will.
Are you in communication with benevolent aliens, or do you have contacts that are? If you are, can you tell us how we can communicate with their teams?
I am not at liberty to discuss communications with any friendly alien life forms. I can tell you there's a friendly factor active in Costa Rica. I am in direct contact with that factor. I am an active member of the Subgalactic League of Costa Rica. This organization, using a small satellite dish, a television set, and ham radio equipment, reached this factor. I might suggest that by using similar equipment and a low band frequency, you may reach the same factor.
Are there any other security level names other than secret, top secret, or ultra?
There are many other security clearances. Here are a few. Umbra, Stellar, G27Z, Triad, UMT, and UMS, Astral, and Subastral. Umbra is higher than Ultra.
Ever see a badge with MAGI?
No.
Since you have lived in Spanish-speaking countries, it's obvious that you are bilingual. What other languages do you speak?
Other than English, the only other languages I speak are Spanish and Ioshu, the common language aliens spoken at Dulce. I speak Spanish fluently and enough Ioshu to keep myself out of trouble. Shortly after I first transferred to Dulce, I took a crash course in Ioshu. Anyone that plans to spend more than 1 week working at the base, they are wise to learn the basics. Otherwise, you are required to wait for an escort to get around. All the signs at the base are written in the universally recognized symbolic language. Ioshu is logical and easy to learn.
In the Dulce papers, copper seems to be high on the importance list. In what methods is copper used?
One of the main uses of copper at Dulce is containment of the magnetic flow. Magnets are used everywhere at that base. The infamous vat's interiors are lined with copper, and the exterior walls are clad with stainless steel. The mechanical arm that stirs the liquid is made of a copper alloy. Other uses include dietary needs and a few of the transbiotic beings. There are several specially made cells or rooms built first with lead, then magnetic steel, then clad in copper. It is in those cells on the 4th level that contain living aural essence. The essence is what you would call a captured disembodied soul or astral body.
Growing multi-species beings, blood formulas, and human parts in vats sounds like a bad plot to a science fiction movie. The doctors and scientists of the world claim you can't mix the species. The concepts mentioned in the Dulce papers sound far-fetched. Could you provide information that the average surface world reader could understand about similar things?
The doctors and scientists on the surface world may say that, but underground, away from the prying eyes of ethics boards, they do grow transgenous beings. There's a lot of written material available at libraries. One of the best sources is an easy-to-read book published in 1969 by Prentice Hall International with the title of The Second Genesis, The Coming Control of Life by Albert Rosenfeld. In this book, they discuss animals that may be especially bred to supply genetically reliable organs for people, and the use of fetal or embryonic material from which adult-sized organs and tissues may be grown. Also, he discusses the fact that embryonic tissue has no immunological activity, therefore it cannot provoke the defense mechanism in the recipient. It will join the body not as a foreign antigen, but as a natural protein. He further discusses solitary generation, commonly called virgin birth, but also known as parthenogenesis. With one virgin birth and 1.6 million births average on the surface of the world. In Dulce, that is reversed. Occasionally, a normally born human infant is born in the hospital wards on the 7th level. Parthenogenesis is the method used to type 2 beams. The now common transsexual surgery on the surface world began at the Dulce base. Men became women on a whim in the 7th level labs and with the 4th level technology. The brainwashing resulted in the eager desire to become a woman, and that poor man, whether a willing or unwilling participant, firmly believes he always wanted to be a woman. No one could convince him to believe the truth. All things are twisted at Dulce. A quote by Dr. Ralph W. Gerard in the second Genesis put it in his now most classic statement: there can be no twisted thought, though, without a twisted molecule. Most have originated at Dulce.
How are the human workers stopped from telling everything about Dulce?
Implants, fear threats to harm the families, EM control, also reprogramming with extremely low frequency, and drugs are the most common methods to encourage the workers not to divulge the location or daily routine.
A construction worker at the Ant Hill reports seeing 10 to 12 foot tall human beings in lab coats. Who are these guys, and are they from the Hollow Earth?
They are probably inner Earth drones. The deeper you get, the stranger the life forms. The tall men are from the subterranean levels. Lower yet are the dwarf deformed forms. I don't trust either of them. There are other forms that both dwarfed the tall men and the dwarf men fear and loathe. They are similar to Bigfoot in appearance, but extremely violent and enjoy eating whatever they find while it is still alive.
There have been reports of the Delta Force having black vans with no tires that hover over the ground. How much are we, in the USA, already interworking with alien cultures?
I haven't seen the black vans he mentioned. We are totally submerged with alien cultures. Very little of the original human cultures have.
How do we get closer to some kind of data to prove to others that there really is a danger from non-human beings?
Good question. I'm afraid we will find the proof the hard way when we are invaded. Try to keep a small camera with you at all times. When you search for reptoids, keep it in your pocket.
Is there a specific location where the public can set up their cameras and equipment to document an alien government base and or their activities?
The problem is most of the meetings are held in military bases or underground. The Groom Lake facility does fly several alien craft that regularly fly over unpopulated land that go back and forth from several bases. Southern California has several notable areas. 29 Palms, Lancaster, Chocolate Mountains are well known for such activities.
There are so many types of really far out aliens seen in TV, movies, magazines, and popular fiction. Is there one type of a fictional unknown race, in your opinion, that fits the term alien?
Yes, there are two. An alien that is totally indescribable, and another would be a pseudo-alien.
What are the dimensions of the Dulce factory?
There are 1,700 paved miles of road under Dulce in northern New Mexico. Towards Los Alamos is another 800 miles of tunnels. The base is still growing due west.
What is the top depth?
The first level starts 200 feet from the surface. Each level has a ceiling of 7 feet, except levels 6 and 7. The ceiling there is 45 and 60 feet. There are approximately 45 feet or more between each level. The average highway ceiling is 25 feet. The hub at the base is 3,000 feet wide. Use a 77.5 minute scale map to try to comprehend the size of the place.